Meal timing for sport is important. Debunking the concept of eating late at night causes you to gain weight. Eating late at night may cause you to have a broken and restless sleep. You wake up the next day not as rested as you could be, and then your food choices are altered because you're cranky and miserable. And then you're going to go and have a croissant rather than having some eggs.
The powerhouse behind Health Matters since 2011.
I do VO2 and metabolic testing.
Health coach, nutritional therapist.
Conducted over 11,000 tests.
The idea that everyone's looking at you in the gym, no one's looking at you. They're all looking at themselves. You pay your membership, you've as much right as anybody to be on that gym floor. You've as much right to use any piece of equipment. But the one thing I would say is if you're improving your VO2, you're improving your cardiovascular health, you're exercising more. You've just added 5 years onto your life.
Before we start the episode, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out to listen to these episodes. If you could take 2 seconds out of your day and hit the subscribe button, the bell, and give us a follow on whatever platform you're listening on so we can keep growing the podcast. Now let's get to the episode. How's it going, Sean? Thanks so much for coming on.
No problem. Thank you very much.
So we had our own little podcast there for about half an hour before we actually started.
Tends to happen.
Yeah.
We can cover it all again though.
Yeah. So what is it exactly that you do?
So I run a performance company. So I do VO2 and metabolic testing traditionally, or mainly that's what we do. So in the past, this type of service has only been available in hospitals and universities, very time consuming, very expensive, but Health Matters is 13 years old tomorrow. So I've been doing it for 13 years in Ireland. So we work with anybody that wants to be worked with, that wants to better their health. Traditionally, VO2 is definitely more suited towards your athletes, but now the health and longevity aspect to it has been really brought to kind of fruition and to the level that we're testing everybody and anybody.
Yeah, that's what when I first seen it, I think I spotted it probably about a year ago. I was like thinking, all right, this is like something for people who are looking to do like ultra marathons or triathlons and stuff like that, but obviously it can be for just anyone. Like,
absolutely. Just before I came down here, I had a fella that's doing an ultra, just casually 150 kilometer race, as you do, you know. Yeah. So we definitely help people like that, but we help anybody. Like, we work with the clinical trials on obese pregnant women in the Coombe Hospital. I work with anyone that wants to get better, anyone wants to have an understanding of their physiology, how to improve. What we work on is science, and we work on individuality. So we don't work on algorithms, we don't work on guesswork, we work on you as an individual. And if you buy into what I ask you to do, you get better.
Yeah, and you've a nutritional background as well.
Yeah, so I've done loads of various different nutritional qualifications. So I do a lot of nutritional therapy, so kind of approaching the likes of digestive health, reproductive health, hormonal health. I do sports nutrition, I do general nutrition, weight management nutrition. I love nutrition. I think the power of nutrition is phenomenal. Yeah. And again, this same fella that I spoke about, the ultra, like he doesn't look after his nutrition. And I just can't get my head around it. Like last year alone, I hired a performance nutritionist to come work for us, and her sole job is to do nutrition for athletes.
Yeah, so if someone was to come to you, say if I was to come to you and get the VO2 testing or the metabolic testing, is that 2 different things? Or?
So they're 2 separate tests. Metabolic testing is definitely more around weight management. So, you've heard this and everybody's heard this, the only way you're going to lose weight is by creating a calorie deficit. But your calorie deficit and my calorie deficit are different. And for everybody to be brandished with the one brush, you're a female, you should have a certain amount of calories. It's just wrong. So we give you your specific caloric requirement to trigger weight loss, to trigger weight gain. And a lot of what we do in the corporate world is where people are struggling with energy. So we measure your output of energy and we then tell you what to consume based on your goal. Well, VO2 testing is definitely more sport specific. So you want to improve as an athlete. But as a number now, there's no other known metric that's closely related to longevity. So VO2, the bigger your VO2, the longer you live.
Yeah, so see the way you were saying there, like there's no one kind of thing that fits all. So if you were to go to an online coach, which I have had before, like, and obviously you tell them their height, you tell them your weight, and then they'll give you your calories and stuff that you should be eating. Is that not the...
I'm not saying that the online coaches are wrong. There's a lot of really, really good online coaches. Yeah. I know, and I've worked with many of them. They're very, very good at their job. But what we try and do is we can support coaches like that, where we will give a 98% accurate measurement on caloric requirement. So we take any guesswork out. So like time and time again, I'm told, calorie deficits don't work. Calorie deficits don't work when they're not specific to you. A lot of times people will be underfueled. So let's say you're a female, you're going to go and have a certain quantity of calories and your energy's low, your mood mood is low, your cycle gets dysregulated, you lose your sex drive, whatever it might be, it's not going to allow for a continuous progress. You're not going to stay in that massive caloric deficit because it doesn't complement your life. If you're not happy in the journey that you're trying to do, if you're significantly underfueled, everything becomes more difficult. So a lot of the times people come in and they're on drastically low calories and they tell me it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because it's not sustainable. So if you're eating 1,400 calories, let's say, you'll definitely lose weight eating 1,400. But what happens at 1,400 is it's too low and then you overeat.
Yeah, you overindulge and start binging.
Yeah, so then actually your average is about, let's just make this up, the person's average in a week could be 2.1 or 2.2. So they're not only having 1,400, they might have 1,400 calories 3 days and then go, this is not sustainable. So we try and give people the real inside information to say, okay, this is the calories that you should consume on a day-to-day basis. And the reaction every day is, no, I couldn't eat that. I'm like, you're eating it anyway. You just don't know you're eating it. So
what would be the around, obviously, you'd need to obviously do it like...
So like our test, the metabolic test is a 14-minute breath test. It's done through a system called indirect kilometry. So it's a 98% accurate measurement on your resting metabolic rate. So I know exactly what you get rid of in a day. We will look at your lifestyle, your activity. The VO2 complements the metabolic because we'll get exercise calories from your VO2 test. So if you were to do both, we have this full picture of your health, your expenditure, and I go, right, this is the calories I want you to have. But we try and educate and highlight the hidden calories, oil, sauces, butters, condiments, coffees.
Yeah.
People don't track stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't realise,
I could list hundreds of examples of people that consume 1,200 calories a day through cappuccinos, do 1,500 calories a day through condiments, mayonnaise and ghee butter in their cooking. Or you have someone of Indian descent that will use a lot of oil, or Italian or Russian. So cultural cooking methods really play a role in it. And highlight, like mayonnaise, a teaspoon of mayonnaise is 110 calories.
Yeah.
Like no one uses a teaspoon of mayonnaise. Nobody. I don't care who you are. You don't use a teaspoon. And it's a level teaspoon. So if you start to highlight, okay, well, you're consuming X, Y, and Z, and you just try and bring the awareness around it, educate them on the calories that they should be having, and giving them that bit more freedom to say, look, you can have 1,800 calories. And you're going to have a better impact on your life, in your relationships, your mood, your work productivity. You're less irritable with the kids. You don't need to nap. Your strength goes up in the gym. Your sex drive goes up. Your cycle comes back. Whatever it might be, that's really important to the long-term success. And you're going to lose weight if your goal is to lose weight.
Yeah.
So we work with individuals really, really closely with them as a one-to-one person. No two people are the same. And that's the same with the VO2 data, like heart rate training. So heart rate training is massive at the moment, this zone 2 concept. Zone 2 is where you train easy. It's been proven to decrease risk all-cause mortality. Magic happens in zone 2. But my zone 2 and your zone 2 are different. Even if we're the same age, my zone 2 and your zone 2 are different. So these creation of zone 2s are done off algorithms using your age and the frequency you train, your height, your weight. They're very poor. Well, we'll give you your exact data. So it's all about training with your body rather than against it.
Yeah, so with the zone 2, like, would that be like yesterday I went on a jog and my friend keeps saying that now because she's training for a full marathon. She's like, I need to like keep my heart rate but underneath something. I can't remember what it was, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, I can't even understand the zones.
Right, so generally, like, to keep it really simple as we can, you have 2 energy systems, aerobic and anaerobic. When you're aerobic, you're efficient. When you're anaerobic, you're inefficient. 2 year zones, generally blue and green will be aerobic, so zone 1 and zone 2. And then your zone yellow, which is 3, and zone red, which is 4, are what's called anaerobic. So we do our easy, lower intensity training in our green zone or zone 2, and we do our higher intensity training in yellow and red zone 3 and 4. If you do your long, easy runs in this anaerobic state, it's not efficient. So you're not going to be able to hold a pace. So what you'll probably find is most people, and we spoke about this, you go running, you run too fast, you slow down, you stop, you walk, and then you repeat the process.
Yeah, that was me yesterday, yeah.
If you can just slow down, you'll consistently run. Like every day I'm told, I can't run, Sean. You can't run yet because you run too fast. So if you just slow the intensity, you increase the body's ability to deliver force or production because you're not inefficient at that point. You don't develop any oxygen debt. You don't create negatives that cause injury, cramp, fatigue. These are all associated with training anaerobically. But my zone 2 and your zone 2 and everybody else's zone 2 are different. It's made off physiology. It's built off how we train. So you have a lot of high rocks at the moment. I'm sure you've heard of high rocks.
Yeah.
Everyone and their dog is doing high rocks. But if you're predominantly an anaerobic athlete, so let's say you're a field sport athlete, you're a sprinter, you're a CrossFitter, you're someone that comes from an MMA or a boxing background, and you've no endurance background in performance, you're going to find high rocks very, very difficult. It's 8 rounds of 1 kilometer runs with multiple different weight activities in them. So you need an endurance for that. So if you don't have, the best analogy, if you don't have a foundation, your house falls down. So training in zone 2 or training aerobically develops this foundation.
Yeah.
It's slow. It's boring. It's not sexy. You don't post it on social media. It's embarrassing. It's humbling. But over time, you become faster and better and less fatigue associated with running that. And you'll start to run faster for less effort.
So how, like, if you're training for something, like how often would you need to train aerobically and non-aerobically?
90 minutes a week, zone 2, is the minimum requirement to be shown to have real good monumental gains in this aerobic adaptation. Realistically, 80% of your training should be aerobic.
80% of it?
Yeah.
So, and that's, as we said earlier on, like for some people that could be a walk.
For some people it could be a walk. Like we've done testing with groups of GA athletes. I'll always remember this group 2 years ago, and we tested them all in January. So anyone that's into the GA knows that pretty much what happens is you get knocked out in October, November, you do nothing, gain a bit of weight, go on the rip. You come back in January and the coach slams you for 6 weeks. Injuries, hamstring injuries, fatigue. What this coach wanted us to do was we wanted us to test the whole panel. And we found that some of the boys were so aerobically unconditioned that they had to walk. So for 6 weeks, we didn't do any speed work with them. It was all low intensity. And we built this base. It was their most successful season, the less quantity of injuries they ever had. They blew teams away with 15 minutes to go in games because they built this foundation where they were durable then to perform. Even if your sport is anaerobic, you massively benefit from aerobic-based training. But to keep bringing it back, it's not sexy. You're not going to post your 5K run if it took you 30 minutes or 35 minutes. Yeah. But sometimes that's part of your training. You have to do it. But people don't like to do it. Or they say they don't do it, but they do. Some of the best athletes in the world, look at Kipchoge. He's going to run a two-hour marathon. This man trains 8 to 12 times a week, but 8 of his sessions or 9 of his sessions are done around a 6-minute kilometer pace. He runs with the boys in the village, but he goes and runs a marathon at 3:30 kilometer. You know, so it's all about less is more. So if he trains easy, he can then train hard. So if his hard training sessions are real good quality, the stimulus is really good. And then he allows for adaptation or facilitation to recover on his down days. Rather than you going into the gym every day and being 7 out of 10 or even 6 out of 10 because you're fatigued, if we can make some sessions 9 out of 10 and some sessions 6 out of 10, you'll create a better profile adaptation or better profile growth.
Yeah.
But it's hard, the buy-in, the requirements, the people's ability to understand, okay, this is going to take time. People don't do that because they want it now. They want it yesterday. And they want to be sweating and they want to be red zone. They want to be peak heart rate and they want to feel shattered when they leave the gym. That's not how you train.
Yeah. But I feel like it's kind of, it shows that you don't actually, like, a lot of people will kind of quit going to the gym or quit doing running because they're absolutely killing themselves.
Perfect example.
When there's no need, as you're saying, there's no need to be doing that.
So look at the amount of people that join a gym and don't go. Look at the amount of people that start running and stop within 2 weeks. It's because they try and do everything too fast, too quick.
They don't have the knowledge to that.
It's not the knowledge. I think it's a lot of social pressure. Social media doesn't help. Like, I don't have any personal social media accounts. When I was training for the marathon last year, I was documenting it from a business perspective, and every week people were like, oh, where's your stats? Where's your zone? Where's your kilometer times? What's your heart rate? And I wrote back to them all and said, it's none of your business. It's my and my coach's business. Because I would talk about training easy, and in West Park where I work, the reception team, I remember last year one time I went and did a recovery run and I came back and the girl said, you not go for a run today? I said, yeah, I did. I've just done 8K. But I'd done 8K so easy that if I walked into reception, you wouldn't know that I'd done a training session. But I'd just done 8K at like 6 minute 10 kilometer. Very comfortable. If you were beside me, I could have chatted to you the whole time. I ring people on my recovery runs, I talk to them.
Do you? Yeah.
Like realistically, if you're trying to build a base, the talk test is key. So if you're...
I'm speed walking, I'd be sending voice notes and I'd be struggling. So that's showing how unfair I am.
Yeah, it shows that the aerobic base probably isn't there. So the talk test is crucial. Like, could you put an order in over a phone? I ask people if they're doing their easy run. They're like, no. I'm like, then it's not an easy run. Yeah. But over time, what happens is you develop what's called a better stroke volume. So you deliver more oxygenated blood for less effort. So you deliver better force production for less effort. And then the paces go up. So you start to run faster the whole time for less effort. And that's when you start to know. So let's say you're tracking heart rate, and I'm going to make this up. This is not applicable to anybody. Let's say you run a 7 minute kilometer, heart rate 130. Within a year, you could be running a 5 minute kilometer at 130 because you've produced more force for less effort. You've developed your aerobic capacity.
Yeah, it's mad. Like, and see the way, like, I feel like it is sometimes like knowledge as well. Like, in my head, I was like thinking, if I put the more I push myself every time I jog, the easier it's going to get. That's the way my head would
to a degree. Like, don't get me wrong, there is definitely a need for the high sessions as well, and I'm not saying that, and I often get misunderstood. Like, we definitely need tough sessions, but we just don't need them as often as people do them.
Yeah.
Let's make the tough sessions really tough, and let's limit how many we do. And then let's look at easier sessions to complement the hard sessions. Like, if I had a file in front of me now, the way we read our data, you'll have a VO2 max. Okay, so your VO2 max is your quantity of oxygen that you can consume. What grows your VO2 max is doing high intensity training. What facilitates that growth is doing low intensity training. Having a higher VO2 allows you to run faster aerobically. So it's all interconnected. It's not one without the other. The two aspects of training are very important to use together. Yeah. But we're overloading the high and not doing enough of the low.
Yeah, I was just like that's as I said to you earlier on, I got told I had a slip disc and then early signs of arthritis, can't go to gym, shouldn't be jogging. So then I was like thinking, what's the point in even walking? I can't push myself with that. For me to like burn as many calories, like, that's all I was thinking. For me to burn as many calories, I'd have to be doing some amount of steps. But obviously, as you're saying,
yeah, I think like, the problem with people's outlook on exercise is too much more towards calorie burn. And I know this is going to be a wild statement, but I would encourage my clients not to use exercise as your weight balancer. Your weight is managed by what you eat. Exercise complements your life, your longevity, your health, your well-being, how you look, how you move, your strength, your bone health, everything like that. Like, realistically, I know how many calories people burn doing exercise. Like, if you see the effort people go into to burn 600 calories, go home and have a toffee yum yum from Lidl and there's 600 calories in that.
Yeah, like it is when you actually compare what you're after burning to what you can eat. Like,
exactly. So if we flip then the concentration more towards, okay, let's look at what we're consuming and let's look at exercise to complement our life and how we look and aesthetically and moving and strength, as I keep mentioning, the likes of that stuff. But the balance is often people want results too quick. Way too quick. This is a journey that takes serious amount of time. But remember, what you're doing every day is complementing your life. Yeah. Like, if you're going to walk, that's complementing your life. It mightn't be burning astronomical calories, but you're moving. You're out in fresh air. You're getting the blood flowing. You're increasing aerobic base. You know, there's massive benefit and massive heed to it, but people don't do it.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like my perspective on training and stuff has completely changed now from injuring myself. Yeah. And like, obviously from learning other things, is just to do it for my own well-being and to, again, not go. I used to go into the gym, lift proper heavy weights, not even like, you know, obviously you have to do all your warm-ups and stuff and lift lighter, and then just injuring myself.
But like, the proof is in the pudding. You'll see, like, so if you look at, okay, I've been injured a lot, or you have people that will speak to me, so I'm going to just give it a bit time specific here. Let's say you want to run a 3:30 marathon, okay, that means you have to run a 5 minute kilometer. And I get you in and I test you and I go, look, well, you're not capable of doing that yet because I can see your profile. I'm like, no, but that's the pace I'm going to run. And I'm like, but you've just told me that you've never completed a marathon in 3:30 because you get injured or you get fatigued. But people can't see that. They're blinkered in their approach because they want it now. They want it yesterday. When realistically, this stuff is a life dedication depending on what you're trying to achieve. If it's aesthetics, if it's how you feel, it's how you move, whatever it is. I had a girl 2 weeks ago. She came to me and I says, "What? How can I help you?" She goes, "I'm getting married in 6 weeks." It's like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I don't work with people that want to be fixed in 6 weeks.
Oh, right, okay.
And she said she wanted to drop 2.5 pounds a week. And I was just like, no.
That's unrealistic.
She could do it. She could do it.
Put it back on after.
She's going to put it all back on very, very quickly. And I don't like to work with people like that. Like, and if I turn clients away, I think I have to be compatible with my clients. I'm never going to tell you I'm a quick fixer. I'm going to educate you how to better your life for forever. I'll make a significant impact on every aspect of your life if you're willing to buy into what I ask you to do. But quick fixes don't work. You go drastically under eating, it's only one way that's going to go.
Yeah. I feel like that's I've been in a calorie deficit for 3 years because that's what you literally just explained me. I'll eat well for 3 days and then I'll indulge with food. And then it's just constant.
Or the week, or people say, I've had a great week, and the week is Monday to Thursday.
Yeah.
And then they have 3 days of atrocious eating, which is 42% of your week. So
yeah, exactly.
It's management. Calories dictate weight.
Yeah, and I felt like I just got sick of it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because I've done it for so long, but couldn't stick to it for a certain amount of time to actually then go into a maintenance phase.
So that's the problem. If you go too low, it can affect your mood, it can affect your work ethic, it can affect your relationships, it can affect everything. And one of the big things I find, if people aren't happy in what they're doing, if it's not adherable long term, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like, I could get you to drop 2.5 pounds a week, but you put it all back on, you'd be miserable. Like, I had a guy a few years ago, he had permanent APAC, and he said he's miserable every day.
Well, why?
Because he wanted to look aesthetically.
Right, okay.
Because he was so underfueled. He had an active job. He had an active in the profession that he was in. He was a professional athlete, and he said he's miserable. And when he came to me, I gave him an extra 700 calories, and he still had a 6-pack all year round. And he said, like, the impact on his life was phenomenal. How it made him feel. You know, like, your calories are your fuel. Your calories are your petrol. You can't drive a car with no petrol. You can't drive a body with no fuel. And you wonder why you're snapping at your partner or snapping at your kids, or work productivity's low, sex drive's on the floor, you've lost your cycle. It's all got to do with input. The power of calorie management is amazing.
And so going back to the VO2 testing, or like, say, when it comes to your watches and stuff like that, see the way your zones, are they accurate?
No.
They're not accurate.
Close your eyes and throw a dart at a dartboard. Like, they're so inaccurate, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, because I would take that as Bible. Like, I have been, yeah.
What the problem is with this stuff is they use your age and they'll color code you. So, like, use your watch and go. A lot of the times the feedback for me is I'm always in the red zone. When realistically, if I was to test that athlete or that person, they're not in the red zone. They're in a red zone because they're using an algorithm. But that's it. That algorithm isn't specific to you or me. It's used off a study group that they've done for your demographic. That's it. The great one's VO2. I don't know if you have your VO2 predictor on your watch.
I have, like, so if I go into the health app on my phone, it judges everything off my watch. But I'm like, as I was thinking, all of it is like, and I've heard that, I can't remember what one it is, but it's like something to do with your heart, how you want to keep something like really low, but over time it gets harder to I can't remember what it's called, but I was like looking at it and I was like thinking that it's exactly right.
Use your VO2 as an example, right? So your VO2 is the amount of oxygen you consume in milliliters per kilogram of body mass. Your watch has no clue what your VO2 is, like none.
Yeah.
Think about it. And I have people that come to me and go, oh no, my watch says I got a 55. And I go, sorry, you got a 42. No, but my watch says. And I'm like, I know your watch says, but so people come in built up. I had a guy in 2 days ago, his watch said he got a 71. A 71 VO2 max is a phenomenal top athlete level, and he scored a 56. A 56 is a very, very good VO2 max. He was devastated. I could see it. And no matter what I said to him, he didn't believe me. He was like, but your watch has no clue about your VO2. None.
No watches at all.
They're not accurate. Now,
Yeah,
one in every,
yeah.
there will always be 1 or 2 outliers that their watch will be bang on. But I could test 500 people before I get one that's bang on. And then they think, oh, my watch is accurate. It's not. It can't be. Or the example that you use, so if you're training for a marathon, you do more lower intensity training than you do higher intensity training. Okay? What grows a VO2 max is high intensity training. So I have people ringing me on my marathon program going, my VO2 is not going up, this program's not working. I'm like, you've just completed a 32k race or event or a run that you've never been able to do. We've got you there by making your efficiency grow, but that's not the stimulator on VO2. So the watches are like, they're false in regards to what it does to people. I think it messes with people mentally. Like, wearables are great. It gets people moving, it gets people tracking. But you know, like, sometimes my watch tells me I need 3 days recovery. I just had 10 hours sleep and didn't train the day before. I'm like, I could not be better and ready to take the world on. But if I get too much indebted into my watch, I think, oh no, I can't train. Or your sleep score was 40. I just got 8 hours unbroken sleep. I feel amazing. But your mind can get really brought into being dictated by these wearables.
Yeah, see, when you say that now, like, I'm like, because I have MS, so for me, I'm like, I really think into like, oh, why was my recovery not that? And it kind of, then it keeps playing on my head for the whole day then.
There's too many variables
so
that can
not
be,
right.
There's too many variables that can be inaccurate, in my opinion. Like, they play a role, a step counter. Like, let's say Mary does 3,000 steps a day, buys a wearable and does 9,000 steps a day. That is amazing what that impact has had on her life. But we just have to take them with a pinch of salt in terms of their accuracy in their predicted values. The zones are inaccurate. Like, the zones are completely inaccurate. One of the big things with heart rate is that we're all so different. And I've said this many times, and people that have listened to me on anything will understand this one. Like, how you're born affects your heart rate. So emergency C-section, natural delivery. Did you have stress growing up? Was there drink? Was there drugs? Was there smoke? Was there stressful relationships? That all impacts your heart rate. But let's say me and you were to go running now, you'd be like, well, why is your heart rate there? My heart rate's there. And people become infatuated with their training partner's heart rate. Why is our heart rate there? Why can't I get my heart rate there? It doesn't matter. Everybody's heart rate's completely different, like completely different. And we have to understand that we're an individual, and what led you to today significantly has impacted how your heart rate performs. So when a watch says, oh, what age are you, 31? Okay, you should run at this. It doesn't know anything about you. So don't be concerned if you're thinking, I'm always in the red zone. I get hit with that statement 10 times a week. I'm always in red, Sean. I can never run in green. And then we test them and you're always in green. There's your red zone. There's your yellow zone. Or I have a real low heart rate, real low. Like, my max heart rate is 159. I can never get into predicted yellow or red. So if I follow the algorithms, I'm overtrained, and other people follow the algorithms, they're undertrained. When you come in and you get tested, we get your specific parameters.
Yeah, and when you're saying that now, that's what my friend keeps saying, that she's like, my heart rate is always so high on my watch.
Okay, so remember, right, so I'm wearing a watch now that measures heart rate. That's very loose, okay? Yeah. If I'm running, there will be sweat, there's hair, there could be dirt, there could be moisturised, there could be tan. The fellow that works for me calls me Mr. Wolf. I run with 2 watches. I run with one that's on my heart rate chest strap, and this does my distance. This is 40 beats different than what my chest strap is. Like, it told me, I did a run yesterday, and it told me I just had a new high record, 189 heart rate. My chest strap was at 150 when it told me that.
So it all depends where you're wearing it with the tracker.
But the chest strap is but the radial pickup, the bicep is a bit more accurate, but the radial pickups can be very, very inaccurate. Very inaccurate.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So then all of a sudden you're like, I'm not in red, my heart rate's okay, I feel good, I'm moving well. You know, so they can be detrimental.
And it makes you start panicking. Like, you're like, why is it? Yeah. You start to worry. I got my dad an Apple Watch, actually. Yeah. And he sent himself to A&E. I'm not even
And then it was okay in the end?
No, he has high blood pressure now. But I think most of the time as well, he was just like, I was like, you need to take that Apple Watch off.
The first thing, if anyone's listening to this that wears a wearable and they're concerned about it, is don't make any assumptions or panic decisions unless you get a chest strap. So the chest strap is inaccurate as an ECG. So you get a chest strap. So if you're wearing the likes of a Polar or a Garmin or Wahoo, they all go and they're all compatible with a chest strap. So if you have the chest strap on, your heart rate measurement is accurate.
So, and you can get what brands is it? The Garmin?
So Garmin would be your leading brand. Polar is another brand. Wahoo is another brand. There's so many brands out there that have them, but you pay for what you get. realistically.
Yeah, and is that the same thing? That would be the exact same as wearing a watch, would it? Wearing the
So
chest
what
strap.
happens is if you wear a chest
It's all
strap,
on your wrap,
no,
maybe,
if you wear a chest strap, it sends it to your watch. So it's Bluetoothed to your watch. So I wear a chest strap that sends my heart rate to my watch.
Oh, it's just for your heart rate, the chest strap is.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does distance, it does pace, it does cadence, if you really want to get into the kind of nitty gritty of it. But their sole objective is to send your heart rate to your watch.
And what do you think of then? Do you ever see them classes that you go to and it's all, they'll put something, I think, on your, is it your ankle that I went to a few of them.
The bike row skis and stuff like that.
Yeah, them and then like it'll tell you like you're in the red zone, the yellow zone, the green. Would you say that's accurate then?
Okay, so again, it's the same concept as what we've just spoke about. Use MyZone as an example. So MyZone are in a lot of commercial gyms.
Yeah, I've seen that in.
Okay, but again, their color coding system can and is flawed. So you're always in the red, you're not in red. You're in green or blue. Or use me as an example. If I attend a spin class and I can't do a zone match, they do everybody into the red zone. I can't get my red into the red zone. The coach goes, Sean, what are you doing? You know, you just pick it up. And it doesn't bother me. I know that I'm fine, okay? But people could get really offended by that, wouldn't go back to the gym. Why am I being picked on? I'm overtrained. Or people are like, you're not training hard enough. So they're having a go at them. Coaches can understand the data inaccurately. And all of a sudden, the objective of the class then is lost. There's no problem with the group's settings of doing zone matching and people pushing, and there's a place for that, absolutely. But you have to understand that the zone colouring is inaccurate.
Yeah, I went to a few of the bikes, the
Bike row ski.
yeah, and my heart rate was never in the red zone. I was like always underneath, and I'd be pushing myself so hard. And I'm like, why can't I get into the red?
Because you could be someone that is more likely have a lower heart rate, you know. So although it's not on the tile as red, you could actually be in your red zone if you had got tested.
I used to be absolutely bollocks leaving them, but I'm like, and then my friend beside me be like in the red, and I'm like, what is going on?
I had a woman start her test last Friday at heart rate 153.
So
her starting heart rate, my max heart rate's 158. Now, she was incredibly nervous. She suffered the likes of white coat syndrome. I knew she was nervous. I've done this.
She suffered of what's it?
You know, white coat syndrome. So people that go into a doctor's automatically panic.
All right, okay.
Over every day, I'm told, like, I know I can read people very well now, and I know when people are nervous. And I know how to deal with them to get them to understand that they trust me in the journey of what we're doing when we're doing a performance test. But like, she was standing still on a treadmill at 153.
So that was just a resting.
Yeah. So then try and think about that concept. Once she starts to exercise, she went into what would theory be red, but she was fully aerobic. She was very, very comfortable. Now, that's probably a wild example because the heart rate was quite high, but you could have someone entering what would be a theoretical red zone when they're comfortably chatting away to me because they're using an algorithm. They're not using a specific heart rate measurement for them as an individual.
Yeah, that's mad. And would that be like, does that say something about the person that they're unhealthy?
No, not necessarily. So like, again, we have to look at, and one of the things my two famous words are, it depends. You as an individual needs to be looked at. So again, going back through what we spoke about, what was your delivery? Was there stress? Do you smoke? Do you take drugs? Do you drink?
Your body just adapts to that heart rate and just stays there.
Not necessarily that, but there's reasonings behind it. Sometimes it's absolutely fine. You're more exposed to a higher heart rate. Sometimes it's not fine. Sometimes there is issues, you know. So there is the individual aspect of understanding. Okay, how does it raise? How does it drop? Does it drop off after test or after exercise? Their wearables are great, but if you're serious about tracking data, get a heart rate monitor, and that's the best way to track your heart rate.
Yeah, and sorry, you completely lost me train of thought there. Oh my God, brain fog. So you mentioned actually before we started the podcast that you got a few calls and a few people were telling you that you saved their lives and stuff. Yeah,
so over the years when we do heart rate or we do VO2 testing, one of the things that we permanently look at as testers is the elevation of heart rate. And over the years, I've stopped a good few tests due to irregularities. Some of them have just been the heart rate monitor, incompatible with the client. We use gel on them, electro gel, like the stuff that you use in ultrasounds and things like that. And sometimes they've gone to the doctor or the hospital and the doctor has said, look, you're fine. Other times, and
then I say you feel bad then that you're after frightening them?
No, I don't, because at the end of the day, it's your heart. And I make it very clear to them, like, I'm not happy with your test. I will change the strap. I will change the pickup. Like, we use 4 different monitors, 4 different straps. If your heart rate is irregular with 4 different monitors and 4 different straps,
right, okay, well then
something's wrong. And a handful of times people have rang me and said, I've had to go and get an operation. Like, you've saved my life. One girl in particular in Waterford, I'll never forget her. I stopped her test and she was so thankful. I've had other people go, no, I'm not happy, I want to keep going. I'm like, you can't keep going. One of them, I had to give her money back. She just was kicked off. And then it turned out that she ended up having a heart condition and her sister rang me and told me about it. But this girl in Waterford went to her doctor and her doctor said she was dehydrated. And she was like, no, I'm not happy with that. I want to get a heart screening done. Went and got a standard stress test and an echo and stuff like that, and it was fine. But I said to her, you need to get an exercise stress test. So when you're analysed when you're exercising. So she got an exercise halter, so she was allowed to wear a monitor for 24 hours, and she was out running, and the hospital rang her and said, you need to get in here now. And she got an operation within 24 hours. There was a massive issue with her heart, and they said, like, you probably would have had a heart attack out exercising someday, more than likely. So she got a pacemaker fitted, or she had to get an fibrillation done, or a stent fitted. I can't remember exactly what she had to get done, but she rang me and said, like, you've saved my life. So I don't take heart rate irregularity lightly, but I'm very comfortable with irregular heart rates, if you get me. So
you've done so many tests now.
So it's our 13th birthday tomorrow. I've done over 20,000 performance tests. So I'm the most active tester in Europe. I'm the most experienced tester in Europe.
That's a good achievement.
It's great. It's great.
Amazing.
Look, starting the company 13 years ago, did I think I'd be here? No. Did I believe in what I did? Absolutely. But it's just gone from strength to strength to strength. So.
And how did you get into this? What?
I was a personal trainer in Australia, 2008, 2009. So
what made you pick this though? Because I feel like there's a lot of personal trainers that don't pick to do VO2.
Yeah, but this is a niche. So when I was in Australia, one of the guys in the gym worked with the equipment, and I put my clients through them, and I thought, wow, this is cool. I got great success. But then I left and I travelled and went to South America and went to Southeast Asia, and I came back to Ireland with 3 different ideas that I'd seen, one in Asia, one in South America, and one in Australia. And I sat down with my uncle and my dad, both who have created multiple different companies and sold them successfully, and we ran with this one. And 13 years later, I'm still here, and it's the last 6 or 7 years have been phenomenal. Like,
so you said that you've taken from all the other countries that you've been to, you've taken bits from them to create the business that you have. What would have been the other
ones?
Like
I still might do them, so I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, so I thought that was all within what you do now.
No.
Right,
a couple of different little things.
Right,
Not that I won't tell you, but like this one was. Like, some of them were around advertising. So my family's background is a lot in sales and advertising and stuff like that. So different ways to advertise certain different products and things like that in public, like bus stops, and different methods of doing different approaches, but they wouldn't have lasted. Like, I was only speaking to my dad about this yesterday or 2 days ago, about like my dad's been a very, very good massive help to me in creating the business and getting to where I am. And I was like, imagine we went with the other ones. He goes, no, you wouldn't be anywhere where you are now, So in year 1 of business, I did 252 tests. 2 weeks ago, in the whole year, I did 252. 2 weeks ago, I did 151 tests in a week.
Oh my God. And there's only 2 years as well, you said.
There's only 2 of us, yeah. Now, I work a lot.
Yeah. I think you need to get another staff member.
Yeah, I know. Look, but in saying that, like, some of our consultations are only 30 minutes long. We do 4 tests. We do 4 tests an hour.
Oh,
you know what I mean? If you look at it that way. So like, we're doing 36 tests a day some days.
Yeah.
Look, I love what I do. Someone said to me recently, you're never not happy, you never give out about your job. I absolutely love what I do. I do work too much. I get that. I have great support at home, but it is hard, but I enjoy what I do. I really love not necessarily making an impact. It's the drive to succeed, I think, of creating a brand and a way of running a business where it impacts many people's lives. That doesn't include any bullshit. It's all based on science. It's all based on individuals. And if you do what I tell you to do, you will get massive success. I love people's success stories.
Yeah, I probably have a lot of them.
Loads of them. Hundreds, thousands of them. I've also people that don't listen to me.
They just get it on.
Had a great one a couple of weeks ago. Not that I like saying I told you so, but like, if you don't do what I tell you to do, you won't get better.
Yeah.
And he came in and he says, no, yeah, I've done everything I've told you to. And I said, what did you do? And he said, he completely didn't do what I asked him to do. He did nearly the opposite. And I was like, look, I'm going to give you the heads up now. I don't think your results are going to get better today. And it was maybe 6 months since he last tested. And he goes, I'm going to prove you wrong. I said, look, I really hope you do prove me wrong. Like, I really hope you prove me wrong, but you're not going to prove me wrong. And early in the test, I knew that he wasn't going to prove me wrong. And at the end of the test, I said to him, look, your data, everybody, your data has gone backwards. Your thresholds, your length of test, your VO2, your recovery, you've done it so badly. And fair play to him. He's like, right, book me back in for 4 months. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to come back and I'm going to beat that. I said, brilliant. I can't wait for you to do it, you know. And then there's other times where, using back to the heart rate training, where people just aren't willing to run slow.
Yeah.
They just think they're better than they are. Their ego is significantly higher than what it is. They run with people that are better than them. They try and have social media thinking they're great when they're really not that good. So then people don't necessarily get better either. So if your goal is to improve, you're not improving. Or if your goal is to lose weight, as an example, you're not losing weight, you're not being successful. If your goal is to break 20 minutes for a 5K, and every time you do a 5K, you don't break 20 minutes, you're not being successful. You need to change your approach. But we're too habitual in what we do. We're unwilling to critically evaluate. My job is to critically evaluate your life, your style, your lifestyle. I'm not criticized for it. I'm very blunt. I'm very honest. Some of the Keelan, some of the times when he's working for me, one of the guys that works for me, he'd be like, look, I think Séan needs to come in and talk to you, because I'll deliver it very honestly, and not in a cruel way and in any way, but if your data says you're bad, I can't sugarcoat that.
Yeah, you're hardly going to turn around and say something else. People are going to get done to get the...
But people sometimes go, you only saying that. Like, if I tell you you're good, your sheet says you're good. If I tell you you're superior, your sheet says you're superior. But people might go, no, you're only saying that to me. I'm like...
Why would you only say that to them?
I'm not, believe me. Because people are people pleasers, you know what I mean? Like, but that's not my job. My job is to tell it as it is and set you on a path that you will be successful on if you buy into what I ask you to do. But again, I make it very clear to people, they might enjoy it at the start. It might be boring. They might find it monotonous. They might find tracking calories is difficult. It's never a very, very easy path to do it. But if it's worth doing, it's going to take a bit of work.
So going back to the actually, how does it work? So if someone came to you, see the way you're saying tracking calories, do you go through like meals and stuff that need to
So I don't personally give meal plans.
But you give them like calories and stuff that they need to...
Absolutely. I educate. So my objective as a company is to educate. So if I can educate you the calories that are in carbohydrate, in protein, in fats, isolate or highlight the calories in condiments, coffees, hidden calories, talk to you about the role of protein, satiety, dysregulation of blood sugar, the important status of hydration and sleep, I educate you and then you go and do it. I'm not a coach that you're accountable to me every week.
Yeah.
I try and arm you with the information that you make an impact on your life forever. Like, I have clients that have told me that I've made an impact on their whole family. Like, their kids have lost weight, their husbands have lost weight, they've lost weight, and all they've done is they've relayed my spiel to the family, and then just success. You know, so I try and really educate people. I also put the ball back in your court, because if I tell you what to eat for 6 weeks, that's it. You're not going to learn anything. You learn how to read a food plan.
Yeah.
But if I teach you how to weigh and track calories and highlight the hidden aspects of calories and where they fall into and how to deviate away from certain things and understand meal timings and debunk a lot of the rubbish that's spoke out there, then you have a much better chance of doing you're achieving your goal long term. You
mentioned their meal times. So do you think there's like it's an importance to eat at the same time every day?
No. Meal timing for sport is important.
All right. Okay.
Debunking the concept of eating late at night causes you to gain weight.
Yeah.
You know, educating, like, if we look and just pick on that, let's say, eating late at night doesn't cause you to gain weight. Eating late at night may cause you to have a broken and restless sleep, where you wake up the next day significantly not as rested as you could be, and then your food choices are altered because you're cranky and miserable, and then you're going to go and have a croissant rather than having some eggs, something like that.
Yeah.
Meal timing for training. So if you're a high performing athlete and you're not prioritizing your carbohydrate 2 hours prior to an interval session, you're going to undertrain. So again, just going through the concepts, or people, I don't eat breakfast, I don't eat lunch. I'm like, but you're 15 stone overweight, Mary. What's going on? So can we educate you? If we get you to eat more consistently throughout the day, we stop the overindulgence in the evening. So it's all kind of around that aspect, not necessarily meal timing. If you're a creature of habit and you want to eat the same time every day, brilliant, go for it.
Yeah, I heard.
I don't.
I was listening to a podcast and I was saying that it gets you from not eating like the rubbish that we'd be eating normally, like if you eat at the same time. It's because your body's then looking for the food around the same time.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is like if you're not eating enough during the day, you overeat at the evening time.
Yeah.
Or you habitually eat, kids go to bed, 8:30, biscuits are open. We are creatures of habit, like we do habitually eat certain things at certain times. Like someone asks you to have steak and potatoes for breakfast, you're going to go, no. You know what I mean? But why not? You could, but we're habitual in our responses to how we eat.
Yeah, I heard that you shouldn't be actually eating sugar in the morning because that's like spikes something.
It's going to spike your insulin.
Yeah.
But it's going to dysregulate your blood sugar. But like if you are having some form of sugar, i.e. carbohydrate in the morning, just have it with a protein source to slow the absorption down. So that's your blood sugar dysregulation.
Right. Okay. So if you say I've been eating overnight oats or porridge every morning for years.
But are you putting protein in them?
I'm putting protein.
Yeah.
But it's so that absorbs the sugar.
No, it doesn't absorb the sugar. It stops the blood sugar dysregulation. So it will.
So if you put protein in with it, that's
so like if you look at protein, I think in Greek it means of first importance. Like your protein for everybody, for weight management, for muscle building, for satiety, protein it plays a really, really important role. So it will help control the dysregulation associated with big spikes in, or what would be an insulin cortisol imbalance, which is going to be cravings, so to speak.
Yeah, that's mad because I was starting to think, maybe I should start like changing it to a salad or something.
No, well, overnight oats, protein, great.
Eggs, because I was salmon, like fruit, fish. That's sugar.
Yeah, but you can put it with a protein yogurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many options out there, but protein for the win, absolutely.
So what? With the testing then, so what way does it work? Like what, you put the mask on?
So the metabolic and the VO2 are two different tests. The metabolic test is a 14-minute breath test. So it's literally like a small valve. You'll have a nose clip on. So we're measuring the amount of oxygen you consume in milliliters per kilogram of body mass. So that's, in order for anybody in the world to burn a calorie, you must consume 0.8 of a milliliter of oxygen. So we look at how much oxygen you consume. It's a 14-minute test. Your results are instant. So we have your data then on your metabolism, your metabolic rate.
That's mad. So like, if someone's, what did you say, how much
oxygen you consume is directly related to how many calories you burn.
All right, okay, so someone obviously consumes more, they'd burn more.
Yeah.
That's mad.
So like your top performing athletes that have a big VO2 will burn more calories at rest. A man will burn more calories than female generally because there's more muscle. More muscle requires more oxygen. More oxygen requires bigger calorie burn.
Right, okay.
It's all linked. Like everything is linked.
So if you're a really like athletic person, then you're burning calories in your sleep.
Oh, bigger, yeah, absolutely. So like a lot of the times we speak about weight training is the best thing you can do for calorie burn because you'll burn more calories post session. So this thing called the afterburn, but muscle burns more calories than fat. Now it's not massive, it's only a small quantity. But if we can increase your resting metabolic rate, you burn more calories doing nothing.
Yeah, and see the way you're saying then, that training in zone 2 is better. So would that be like weight training then?
When we talk about zone 2, it's definitely more cardio specific, but a majority of your weight training would be low intensity unless you're doing high intensity weight training. But zone 2, we would look at it more from a cardiovascular perspective. So walking, jogging, running, swimming, cycling, rowing, whatever you want, that type of thing.
Yeah. I got told before walking isn't cardio. What do you call that? It's not cardio, is it?
Of course it is. Depends who is it? Why isn't it cardio?
Right, okay.
Your heart rate
probably depends for each person.
It depends on each person, depends on how fast. Like I walk really fast, I can walk at 8k an hour. That's cardio. It depends. The VO2 test is definitely more invasive. You'll have a mask on, you'll have a heart rate monitor on, the mask will connect to a tube, and it's a progressive overload. So you'll start walking and we'll keep bringing the intensity up every single minute until failure. Failure being you can't go anymore.
Right. And how long would that go on for?
Depends who you are. So we've done tests for 4 minutes, we've done tests for 24 minutes. You know, so you as an athlete, this is the individual aspect. People are thinking, oh, I'm never going to do what he did. It doesn't matter. You do you. Like we had running partners come in yesterday. I don't think they were together, but as a couple, but they were training partners. And one of them went first, the fella went first, and then the girl was like, I'm never going to do what he did. I said, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We're not looking at you as a comparison to the length of time. You can actually do a better test in a shorter period of time. It's all about your physiology. It's all about gathering that data and that information to make your profile for us to then dictate what type of training you need to do to
and improve them like as an individual, like
it's all individual.
Yeah. I'm like dying to get this done.
You're like,
I'll be
book me in,
straight
book
after,
me in.
yeah.
We'll get you
It's
booked in.
crazy, yeah. So with it just shows like not one thing fits everyone, like not with the diet, not with the
like what works for me mightn't work for you.
Yeah.
And if it works for you, stick to it. So like I'm sure you've heard of ketogenic diets. So ketogenic is...
Or I was going to actually ask you with the intermittent fasting.
Okay, so let's use intermittent fasting, ketogenic and carnivore, right? So let's say you do intermittent fasting, I do ketogenic, and someone else does carnivore. And all three of us are looking to lose weight. And all three of us are successful. But I go, no, I couldn't intermittent fast. And you go, no, I couldn't eat meat. That doesn't work. It doesn't work for you. But whatever works for you, go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
Is it adherable long term? Brilliant. I don't believe intermittent fasting is magic. It doesn't do anything other than narrow the time frame down when you can eat, so you consume less calories. Ketogenic, you've taken one full food group out, so you're having low carbohydrate. A lot of times people have carbohydrate dress, so not many people eat carbohydrate on their own. So butter, mayonnaise gets massively reduced. The likes of that stuff, condiments, creamy sauces. So you take a lot of calories out of your diet. That's why it's successful. Some people that go carnivore have a real high satiety. So they're fuller for longer. So they're not snacking as often. So their calories are down. Weight at the end of the day is calories. There's no two ways about it. You can call it whatever you want. But if it works for you, go for it. Intermittent fasting doesn't work for me. I'm someone that needs to be fed all the time.
Yeah, I tried it and I was like full on going. Like I had an app and I think I set myself to like 18 hours or something of non-eating me first couple of weeks, and then I just like have a couple of hours and I just be indulging in the food.
It's like people in Ramadan gaining weight, or people that do intermittent fasting not losing weight. I had a guy the other day that does intermittent fasting but has 3,000 calories when he eats, and I was just like, what's the point? But and he goes, I want to lose weight. And I said, but you've just told me what you've eaten.
You're starving
like he was
yourself
having
for
like
so many
800
hours.
grams of mince, he was having cottage cheese, he was having this on top of it, and I was sitting there in disbelief. I said, but you're not losing weight. He goes, yeah, but I'm intermittent fasting. But your goal is to lose weight, you know. So calories dictate weight. If I keep saying it, whatever works for you, do it. I train early, I'm on the go, I 15,000 plus steps every day, train every day, work 12 hours. If I don't eat, I get lows, and my mood is down. I can't think right. My quality of a service to my client is affected. You know, there's endless amounts of negatives associated when I don't eat. My daughter's a demon if she doesn't eat. People that get hangry, as an example, you know, like little things like that. My wife says it's my fault. Like I'd be quite similar. I wouldn't be as hangry as she is, but like if she doesn't eat, like she is
You're gonna know all about
it. Like a different child. Like if we go too far, if it just goes the way she starts to antsy and stuff, you're like, feed her quick, like give her food. You know, and then different child. You know, and I see that with people. I'd be quite similar. I wouldn't be as a demon as that, but I do notice my work quality is reducing, or my mood or my energy. Like I'm always high energy, full of energy. I'm always fidgeting, I'm always moving, and I need to be fed. I bring a school bag of food with me to work, like. So
with the VO2 testing, would you need to get it done regularly? Because you're saying obviously the wearables, like your watches and stuff like that, they're not that accurate. So if you were to turn around and say, is your heartbeat is that accurate? Because if you were say I was to get this done, for example, and you were to say, all right, okay, you need to train for 80% of your training should be in this average average heart rate, and then I'm like, but my watch isn't accurate. How do I know?
You have to wear a chest strap.
Right. So if I would say for someone who was looking to get that done, then you'd probably turn around and say, get a...
Like, I don't sell chest straps. I should, but I don't. Every time I say to people, oh, you need to get chest straps, they're like, I suppose you sell them. I was like, no, I don't sell them. Like, I'm not there to make a €2 off a chest strap. I want you to go and buy it and invest in it. So to answer the question, how often do you retest? That's very individual. We have...
Probably athletes would get it on more.
So I have a couple of athletes that we sponsor that would test 4 times a year. I have a couple of high profile athletes that could test 8 times a year. I have a lot of Joe Soaps that just want to test once a year as a health check. So now they're looking at VO2 as a number. There's no other known metric for longevity. So the bigger the VO2, the longer you live. That's a fact. So now I have so many general population coming in, they're going, I just want an NCT. I want to look at my VO2, I want to check my heart rate.
An NCT, that's the way you call that.
An NCT or an MOT, whatever you want to call it. A body NCT. And I just give them a bit of information. I could have a high profile athlete that wants to go to the Olympics. The way I dictate or deliver my data would be different than John that wants to just look at his heart. You know, that type of thing. So it always depends. We do a marathon program that will start in June, that will finish in October. We'll do 2 tests between June to October, because what we do for the first 10 weeks of that program is to try and change your physiology. So we'll dictate the way you train in order to increase this green zone or this zone 2. And then we provide you with new numbers. I have a lot of MMA athletes or boxers that will test with me whenever time they have camps on. So they come to me at the start of camp. We control all their conditioning for the camp. They do their fight, they win, they lose, they go party, they come back in. Sean, have a fight in 12 weeks. Right, let's go again. It's all individual.
And what's the average? Like, what's a good number for the
VO2?
Yeah.
Who are you? Male, female, young, old?
Well, say one for a female, like a fit female and then a fit male.
So quantify fit. Who are they? What do they do? Like females, you want to be scoring above a 40.
Above 40?
Yeah, realistically.
And then for
a male, like, you're going to be generally 48 plus.
Yeah.
Like, so let's work backwards. The best and the highest ever recorded in the world is a 96.
Yeah. And
he's a cross-country skier. The highest I've ever tested somebody was an 89.8. I'm testing.
And who was that now?
He runs a 14-minute 5K. Just this unbelievable.
14-minute 5K.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I've done, probably in the whole time of testing, I've probably done less than 10 people to score in the 80s. I've done hundreds in the 70s, thousands in the 60s. You know, but again, weight's an important factor. What height are you? What weight are you? How often are you training? There's so many determining factors on it. But at the end of the day, it's a great metric to measure, depending on what your goal is, and for longevity. Since COVID, I don't know if you've ever heard, did you hear Peter Attia? Do you know Peter Attia?
No.
He's a really well-known doctor now in America, does a lot of podcasts and stuff, and he is banging this drum about zone 2. Like, my business has gone up because of Peter Attia. About you decrease risk, all cause mortality. So you decrease the chances of any form of death through any illness or disease when you do 90 minutes of zone 2 training.
That's mad.
But he's also talking about VO2 as this metric. Like, you have a big VO2, you live longer. So if you score, when you come in, you'll get a grade. You're graded from very low, fair, good, excellent, superior. If you come in and score very low, and you go away and train and you come back in if you scored very low and you come back in and score low, you've just added 5 years onto your life. So it's directly related. So if you're improving your VO2, you're improving your cardiovascular health, you're exercising more. It's all knock on, it's all relevant. So now people are coming in going, okay, I'm 50, I want to get a VO2 max of 50 or 48 or 47. So they're coming in with metrics driven, and then they're not sure how to do it.
Get a higher number.
And then I tell them how to do it. I had a guy, October 22, came in, 116 kilos, 6'3", and said, I want to better my life. I've just had a baby and I want to be around to see this child grow up. He came in and scored very low. He did 4 tests with me. He did October 22, he did January 23, April 23, and to the day of his October test in 23, he went from very low to superior. He's probably added 15 years onto his life. Like, it was amazing. Like, I was just willing him to get to where we needed him to go. He dropped about 20 kilos. He started to train. He started to eat better. He looked $1 million, you know, and he made the decision that it's like...
And how long did that take?
It took him a year.
A year? That is mental.
Yeah, it took him a year to the day. to do it. I always talk to people about kids. Like I have a couple of young kids. Anyone comes in and I say, do you have kids? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, do you want to play with your grandkids? And they're like, what? I'm like, do you want to play with your grandkids? They're like, yeah. I said, now is what you need to do. Now is where you make that change. So what you do now in your 30s and 40s is how you're going to be, what your health span is going to be like. So long lifespan and health span. So let's just use an example. I live to 80. But for 10 years of it, I'm in a nursing home and I can't dress myself.
Yeah.
Or else if I live to 79 and at 78 and a half, I get a bit of illness and I die off. Your health span is dictated by how you train now. So lift weights, zone 2 training, eat well, sleep well, and it will make your life so much better. Like,
How often should you train a week, would you say? What's the...
I would like 90 minutes a week, zone 2. Unquestionable, and a couple of strength training sessions. So strength training is phenomenal. Like if you're not
weight training,
if you're not strength training, you need to start. Whoever you are listening to this, females most definitely, aging females need to weight train. You get the calcium driven back into the bone that you've lost through your cycle. If you look at the amount of people that are admitted to nursing homes because they can't dress themselves. They can't dress themselves because they're not strong enough to have balance. They're not balanced enough. If they fall, their bones are brittle and they break. So if we go back, the stronger we are, the longer we live. The stronger we are, the more independent we are. The stronger we are, the less chance of bone breaks, the less chance of falls. My dad's 72. He minds my kids. You want to see this man run after my kids. He plays what's called the Tuesday morning Olympics with my kids. They climb in and out of the back seats of the car, into the front, up the stairs, jump off the stairs, over the couch. My dad's mental. If you see my dad, you'd say, like, and this, I'm not being, because he's my dad, he could pass for early 60s. Very late 50s maybe. I have people that come into me and I'm like, you're 58? My dad's 15 years older than you. Like, he's trained I don't remember him not training. He's in a member of West Park.
Yeah.
He trains there. He weight trains 3 days a week. He does anything I tell him to do. Takes creatine, takes fish oils. What do I need to do now, Sean? He just buy into it, you know. My mum, unfortunately, had a great background in sport growing up. Like, she was very active, but in the last 15 or 20 years, she hasn't, due to numerous different reasons. She now, if she was to be on the ground playing Lego with the kids, she can't get up without being in pain. And if you look at the difference, is because he's maintained strength training. He's strong, he's mobile, he can get up and move. But people are afraid to lift. You know, like, you need to learn to lift.
I feel like there's, like, I remember when I started going to the gym, my ma turned around to me and was like, oh, why do you want to get as muscly as a fella? Like, that was the thought that
that is the thing. And like, muscle's hard to build.
Yeah.
And females don't have the testosterone to build it at the start.
Muscles as big as that. Like,
like, and that's the concept. Oh, you're going to turn into a bodybuilder. No, you're not. You're going to look better.
I feel like with, like, older generations, so that would have been definitely, I feel like, but more now.
Now that you've said, like, you're a member of West Park, the biggest membership in West Park is over 55s. It's amazing. Like,
is it?
Yeah. Like, if you were ever there in the morning, like, there's 80 women in the aqua aerobics in the gym in the morning.
I think I seen a few of them in the pool.
Yeah, brilliant. But like, on the gym floor in the morning between maybe 9 till 11, there's a lot of older people lifting weights now. It's great. Now, the machine weights, which are perfect to do, but I think there is also the idea that everyone's looking at you in the gym. No one's looking at you. They're all looking at themselves. They're all too busy.
Yeah, or either like half the time you're taking a break in between sets and you're just wondering, you're just looking around just because just taking a break.
Yeah.
You're not actually specifically staring at the person.
No, but like, it can be, and it's a very intimidating, not
I feel like people make that up in their own heads, like when they're going, that people are looking at them and being like.
And I always say this to people, like, the lads are looking at themselves in the mirror, so are the girls.
Yeah.
You pay your membership, you've as much right as anybody to be on that gym floor, and you've as much right to use any piece of equipment. But the one thing I would say is, if you are joining a gym, get tuition, get an instructor, get a PT, learn to lift. No other industry in the world would we walk into and think we know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, or YouTube taught me how to squat. Get tuition. And if you learn to lift, it's a skill that you'll have forever, and it will benefit you just consistently all the time.
Yeah, and going back on sleep then. So I remember earlier on we were talking about, you were saying, who's an athlete that has a sleep chamber?
So like, a lot of the older athletes, the likes of Ronaldo, LeBron James, who are like the top of their game still in their late 30s, which isn't that old, but from a performance perspective, you're competing against people 20 years younger than you. These lads have sleep chambers and blackout rooms and minders to mind their kids so their sleep isn't broken. And like, sleep is magic. Like, if sleep, you could sell sleep, it'd be the best selling drug in the world. Like, everything improves when you sleep better. Everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, again, if we look at, and we spoke about this, you're someone that joins a gym and you're eager to go and you're only getting 5 hours sleep, you're getting up in the morning, you're going training. It's all about the balance. Recently enough, I had a fella ring me. I've worked with him for years, and he's like, "Oh, Shani, I'm going to get my bloods done." I was like, "Why? What's the problem?" He's like, "Oh, I've no energy. My mood is down. The libido's gone. X, Y, and Z." And I was like, "All right, let me reassess here. What's going on?" He's not an athlete, and he was training 11 times a week. He was getting less than 5 hours sleep. He was going training fasted. And I was like, let's make some changes here. So we decreased the intensity of high sessions, improved the quality of sleep, looked at his nutrition a bit more. And he is absolutely lifting now, like flying. And he was like, "You're right." I was like, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're just not prioritizing what needs to be prioritized." And obviously sleep is disrupted with our phones, with blue light, with the need to be on social media. I know I can be a nightmare for it. I could be working a 12-hour day, come home, eat some food, and I'm on my phone to wind down, so to speak. But it's just the same crap that I've looked at all day. Not all day, but I've seen it. Like, you're refreshing Instagram and Twitter at night time. It's the same thing. Like, you've seen it all at that point. But getting away from, if you're someone that struggles with sleep, or you're someone that goes to sleep but wakes, when did you last have caffeine? So you shouldn't really have caffeine after 12 p.m. Are you having a high carbohydrate meal too late at night? What's your content of coffee like throughout the day? Is your blood sugar dropping? That's causing you to wake because you have an imbalance in blood sugar. Are you going to bed too late? Are you getting up too early? Sleep is magic. If you can prioritize it, you will reap the rewards for it.
And with see the way you said the fellow that you were talking about, sorry, that he was fasted going to the gym. Should you not be fasted before you go to the gym?
So again,
or fasted cardio, people say.
Okay, so like fasted cardio is rubbish. Like, it's
Is it?
point.
Yeah.
Like, so where would it stem from, right? In order to, what you're trying to do, let's go where people are increase the body's ability to burn fat. Let's say it's called increasing fat max. In order to create fat max, you need to be fasted into your training session. You need to train at very low intensity, and you need to fast out of it. So no carbohydrate 2 hours after it either. What people are doing is they're going in fasted, training at high intensity, and eating directly after. So they're missing the point, what they're trying to do. When you're training anaerobically, when you're training at high intensity, your sole supply of fuel is from carbohydrate. So you going in fasted, it's like trying to drive a car with no petrol.
Right, okay.
Pointless, absolutely pointless.
So it's actually really
detrimental.
Yeah, and so the whole meaning of it is just training at a slower, like a lower zone, and
so let's say you're someone that wants to really work on their physique, okay, and you're going away and you've done a lot of low intensity cardio. If you wanted to go into that fasted and do really low intensity cardio and come out of a fasted, your body will choose to burn stored fat better, unquestionable.
Yeah.
But if you're, I keep picking on Mary, if you're Mary that wants to lose weight, fasted cardio is not for you. Like, go think about what you're doing. Your weight management is done through caloric balance. So creating a calorie deficit consistently. Going in doing fasted cardio is not magic. It does nothing. It's not going to be what it's going to work for you. You know, it's a myth. You need to stay away from it. Like, it's pointless. You'll train at a much lower level.
Yeah.
It's like athletes. When people come into me, like top athletes, I'm like, "What are you eating?" They're like, whatever. I'm like, "What? Like, do you eat the same on this day as that day?" Like, yeah. I'm like, "So you're doing so much more high intensity cardio that day. You need more carbohydrate. Bring in some apple juice. Have a slice of toast with jam on it. Have a pear. Drink a bottle of Lucozade." They're like, "Oh no, I couldn't have that." I'm like, "Why? You're going to burn it anyway." You know? So it's education. And education comes with trust. And people trusting me takes time. But look, 13 years later, I'm still here. 20,000 clients later, I'm still here. You know, like, we know what we're doing. And my hashtag is always trust the process. If you buy in and you trust the process, you'll get the results.
So if anyone is looking out to reach out or looking to work with you, where can they find you?
I'm sure you're going to tag me in all these videos anyway. Instagram at Health Matters IRE. We do a lot of work on Instagram, really trying to grow that at the moment. We have a lot of interaction with a lot of educational reels, or my Health Matters is just the website, so you can get me that way. my number's on that as well. But the Instagram is the easiest, probably at Health Matters IORE. And we're based in West Park. So West Park and Tala is where we do all our testing. But we do a lot of on-site visits. So we do corporate wellness. We do go to small gyms. We go to country, anywhere in the country. I'll go to your gym or your club or your business if you want to get tested. No problem.
Thanks so much for coming on, Sean.
No bother. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're looking to reach out, make sure you follow us on Unlock Potential Podcast on Instagram and Demi's Nails and Beauty. See you next time.